Good morning and happy Monday. I'm so glad to have you all here with us today, and I'm so excited because today we're going to be talking about one of my very favorite subjects, and that is the subject of reading and finding more time to read, and not necessarily just specific practical ideas, but just the whole concept of how do you make reading a part of your life. It is super cloudy outside today, and so the lighting's just going to be bad, and it just is what it is. But welcome. Did you have a good weekend? I hope you did. I had such a great weekend. Good morning, Mackenzie. Good morning, Amira. So glad to have you guys with us. I had a great weekend, restful weekend, and it was so nice. And I have on a sweater today. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep the sweater on because it's going to be a high of 64, but it's kind of muggy outside and rainy, and it's a little bit cold, and so I'm going to try the sweater again today. For those of you who are new, my family and we moved from Kansas last year to Nashville, Tennessee, and we are still getting used to this whole fall in Nashville where you pretty much want to wear shorts and flip-flops a lot of the time. But it is what it is. It just cracks us up how people have on like fur-lined boots and parkas almost, and we're like, it's 65 degrees outside. Aren't you not hot? Yeah, so we do miss, that's one thing we miss about Kansas. However, the last time when we went back in the winter and it was so cold, we're like, okay, we like the nicer weather where it's not so bitterly cold. Anyway, for those of you who are new, my name is Crystal Payne, and I am the founder of MoneySavingMom.com, as well as the author of the book Say Goodbye to Survival Mode, and I am also the creator of the 14-day online course called Make Over Your Mornings, and that's at makeoveryourmornings.com. So glad to have you all here. Today we're going to be talking about reading and my 5 secrets to find more time to read. Now, I've talked about this in another scope, but this one we're going to delve into it from a different angle. And I'm addressing a reader's question. This question came from, I don't have her name, but she said, how do you find time to read? I've got a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old, and I find it challenging to find time. At night, I can choose between reading, sleeping, or catching up on social media. The latter two usually win. What's your secret? Good morning, Victoria. So we're going to be talking about that. And one real quick thing that I want to say is this week I'm going to try something new, and that is I'm going to jump right into the content and then really just trying to keep my scopes a little bit shorter. We've had some complaints that they're too long, and so we're going to try it this week, and if we all hate it, then we can go back to how they were before. But I'm going to split up the our book club scope on Rising Strong. I'm going to split that into a separate scope that I'll do at the end, so that if you just want the book club scope or you don't care about the book club scope, you can decide either way, watch it or not watch it. So that will be at the very end. I'll hop off and then I'll start that again. So just giving you the heads up there. Okay, so I am such a fan of reading because of how it has impacted my life and changed my life. I'm a different person because of the books that I've read. It causes me to think. It challenges my mind. It sometimes, it takes me and transfers me to a different world when I'm reading a good fiction book. And that is so good sometimes. We need to kind of get into another world, either to understand someone's perspective better, or sometimes it's just nice to have a little bit of a break from just the everyday life and just enjoy a story and get caught up in a good story. So how do I find time to read? Because I am a wife and a mom and a business owner, and I homeschool my kids, and life is busy, as I'm sure your life is as well. Number one, I have made a commitment to it. So you need to make a commitment to reading. Anything in your life that you want to prioritize, you have to make a commitment to prioritize it. It doesn't just happen. Make it part of your daily routine. You can't just say, I want to read more, and then not find a place for it to happen. If you say, I want to exercise more, I want to eat better, but you don't come up with a plan for how, it's just going to stay in the want category and never move to the actual doing category. So make a commitment to it. When will you do it? What is realistic for you? Is it realistic for you to read a chapter a week? Is it realistic for you to read a book a month? What is realistic for you? Maybe you say, you know what, I have 10 minutes, this 10-minute block of time in the mornings. Maybe it's when you get up, maybe it's after breakfast, maybe it's at your at work, you have a break, and you can say, I'm going to devote that 10 minutes to reading. Maybe you say before bed, I'm not going to go to bed until I read 10 pages. You have to make a commitment to it. When will you do it? What is realistic for you? I love this quote that I read in Honey for a Child's Heart, which is a great book if you're looking for good books to read to your kids. Honey for a Child's Heart is a great book for that. And this is the quote that I loved. It says, a busy schedule is the enemy of reading. Agreeing in principle with all the benefits of books, you may at this point simply sigh and say, I wish I had more time for reading. But the fact remains that we arrange time for what we think is truly important. We arrange time for what we truly think is important. Do you find time to eat? You have to find time to eat. Even if you're so busy, you're going to find time to eat. So if something is truly important to you, you will arrange your schedule and make time for it. So number 1, make a commitment to it. Number 2, get some accountability. What kind of accountability can you put in place so that you will actually follow through with your goal to read more? You could join a book club. We're doing the online book club and we're going through Rising Strong right now. We're starting it just today. And you know what? One of the reasons that I want to do this is not only to encourage you to read good books and to introduce you to books that maybe you wouldn't consider reading if I wasn't going through them, but also because I need the accountability. I want to be reading more. So I know if I make a commitment to you all that I'm going to show up and scope and blog about a book, I'm going to be more apt to follow through with it. So you all are my accountability for reading. So number 2, get some accountability. Maybe you could read a book with a friend. Could you ask a friend, maybe both of you want to read more, and so you say, you know, once a week we're going to email our thoughts on the book, or once a week we're going to have a phone call, or we're going to vox each other our thoughts on the book, or maybe if it's a friend who's local, that you could get together once a month or every other week and you could talk about what you're reading. I have done this multiple times with different friends and it's been so fun. It's a great way to foster a relationship around a book. It's also a little bit safer if you are an introvert or you're someone who you've been hurt by friendship in the past. To start a sort of little book club with friends is a safe way to nurture that relationship and build a relationship. So maybe it's that you just have the accountability of posting on your blog or social media and saying, I read this book, or I read 10 pages today, or here's a quote from what I read today. And you're doing that and having that accountability. So number 1, make a commitment to it. Number 2, get some accountability. Number 3, read 2 to 3 books at once. Now, there's a lot of kind of people who have differing opinions on whether you should read more than 1 book at once. I personally pretty much always have at least 2, if not 3, if not more, books going at once. And one of the reasons is just because I love to read and there are always more books than time. But also because I found that I read more when I have more books going at once. Now this doesn't work. You can't have 25 books going at once. That's just going to overwhelm you. But 2 to 3 works well for me. I love what Olivia says about I love variety. For me, there are some times when I am in the mood for a certain kind of book. Well, if I'm only reading 1 book at a time, I'm not going to always be in the mood for that book. So if I have a fiction book going and a nonfiction book and maybe a business book or a variety of books, then whatever I'm in the mood for, I'm going to pick up, and that's going to encourage me to read more. I also think it's great to download books and have them on your phone or device, because every once in a while you're going to be standing in a line, you're going to be in a doctor's appointment, you're going to be stuck in traffic. Please do this only if you are like stuck in a huge traffic jam and you're at a standstill. But anyway, you're gonna be stuck waiting in the school pickup line, something. And if you don't have a book with you, but you have a book on your phone, then you have something to do during that unexpected wait time. There are so many free books available on the internet. If you go to my site, MoneySavingMom.com, almost every day we post a list of free ebooks that you can download to your phone. You get the Amazon, you just connect Amazon with your phone, and you can do the Kindle reader on your phone or your device for free. That's a great way to make sure that you always have books. I find that since I travel fairly often, I'm standing in lines at airports. That's when I read on my phone, because you're standing in line waiting to get on the plane, or you're waiting to get off the plane. And those are minutes that there's not a lot that you can do, because you have to be really perceptive to what's going on. But yet I can just pull out my phone and I can read a little bit and then move in the line and then read a little bit. It's a great way to get in some reading. So have books on your phone as well, so that you always have something to read. So 3, read 2 to 3 books at once. This encourages you to read more often. Number 4, read books that engage you. Don't spend your time reading a book that you find to be really boring, unless you're in school and you have to read the book. Otherwise, read books that engage you. You're not going to want to read if the book doesn't engage you. I have become a big fan of quitting books. I finally decided this year that I am 34 years old and there are enough books in the world that I will never run out. So it is really okay to quit a book. If I'm not finding that it's feeding my soul, if I'm not finding that it's engaging me, if I'm not finding that it's encouraging me, if it's just frustrating me or turning me off or just boring, quit the book and start another one. Read books that engage you. What are you interested in right now? I am such a believer in doing what engages you as much as you possibly can. So like when I'm teaching my kids, teaching them creative writing, I don't want to assign them things that are boring for them. Because I remember when I would get creative writing assignments and it was frustrating, because I'm like, I don't want to write on that subject. I don't care about sailboats. But if I'm writing on something that I'm passionate about, that I'm interested in, I'm going to bring that passion to the writing project. It's the same way with books. Read books that engage you. What are you interested in right now? What can you not get enough information about? Read books on that, especially at the beginning. Now, there comes a point when I like to challenge my mind and sometimes read books that are outside of what I would usually read. Sometimes read books that I really do have to kind of plow through them, in the sense that they're hard to read, but they are challenging me, and so I'm going to stick with it. But if you're new to reading, if you're wanting to start reading, please don't go pick out some book that's just boring to you. Quit a book if it's doing nothing for you. And number 5, establish reading rituals. Establish reading rituals. By this, I mean certain points in your week that you always are reading. So for me, right now, it looks different in different seasons, but right now, that is a few nights a week. I take a bubble bath, or I put this salt stuff in the bath that I got that like makes you fall asleep. Not in the bath, but like it makes you sleep well at night. My husband was worried, speaking of which, at first he was like, are you sure? Are you gonna fall asleep in the bathtub? I don't want that happening. So I appreciate that he cares about me. Anyway, so I will take a bath and read a book. And that is something that is so relaxing for me, that I love doing. And I look forward to it. And so guess what? If I look forward to something, I'm going to be more apt to make it happen. So that's a ritual for me. Sunday afternoons, at least 2 Sunday afternoons in a month. We usually are home most of the afternoon or all of the afternoon. That is when I read a book. I have a ritual that it's like, okay, if we have a free Sunday afternoon, I read a book. And I don't feel guilty over the fact that there are dishes in my sink or that there is laundry that needs to be done. It will still be there on Monday. So instead, I just check out and read a book and enjoy it. So what rituals can you put in your week to read more? Establish reading rituals. Maybe that is in the morning, first thing when you get up, read your Bible and then read 10 pages of a book. For a long time for me, I read when I was on the treadmill. I don't do this so much anymore because that is my time to pray and just pray over my day, and I've really been just committing that time for prayer. But in the past, especially when I was running longer runs, when I was doing 30 to 45 minutes on the treadmill a day, I would read on the treadmill. That was a ritual that I had set up. To your kids, a great way to get more reading in is to set up reading rituals as a family with your kids, and so that you're regularly reading. When your kids have that routine established where you read before bed or after lunch or at a certain time in the day or in the week, they are going to be your best accountability partners, because kids will keep you on your routine. If they're anything like my kids, they're going to be like, Mom, it's 3:03. We were supposed to start reading at 3 o'clock. What are we doing? Let's everybody get down in the living room. We got to read. They will keep you accountable. So set up those reading rituals so that reading becomes a habit and part of your life. I'd love to hear from you. How do you find time to read more? How do you make a commitment to it? What are your secrets? Share them in the comments, and I'll review this really quickly. So, number 1, make a commitment to it. Number 2, get some accountability. Number 3, read 2 to 3 books at once. Number 4, read books that engage you. Quit a book if it's doing nothing for you. And number 5, establish reading rituals. Now, on my site, MoneySavingMom.com/scope, my scope page, so MoneySavingMom.com/scope, I listed off links to some different posts that I've done on, 1, how I find time to read, how I find more time to read, and then also my books that I have read over the last 3 to 4 years. I keep a record on Pinterest of all the books that I read personally and that I read to my kids. So on MoneySavingMom.com/scope, on that page, there is a link to my Pinterest page where you can look and see my boards on all of the books that I've read over the past 3 years, as well as all of the books that I've read to my kids. And if it was a book that I really, really, really loved, I'm going to put a little, there's going to be a little review on there that'll say, great book, or I love this book, or highly recommended, or something. So you can scroll through and see all the books in one place that I've read each year and get an idea which ones are my favorite. I also linked on that page to my top 10 books that I read in 2014. So if you are wondering what were my favorites, my top 10 books that I read on 2014 are on that page. Someone said they're a squirrel on Pinterest, so if you don't even want to go on Pinterest, just go to MoneySavingMom.com/scope and look at the top 10 books from 2014. I also wanted to mention that at the back of my book, Say Goodbye to Survival Mode, this book, I have resources at the back, including, because I encourage people to read, there are recommended resources. I have a coffee stain on my page. Welcome to real life. So there are recommended resources. There are 3 pages, and these are books that I have personally loved. Living with Purpose books, time management books, financial management books, home management books, fitness and nutrition, practical help, and just enjoyment. So that is at the back of Say Goodbye to Survival Mode. If you have this book, or you can pick it up from the library, or you want to purchase a copy, that is the list of kind of the best of the best. I spent a long time putting those together, and those are some of my very favorites. And then the same thing at the back of my new book, Money Making Mom, that comes out November 3rd. I have, let me find it. Hopefully this one does not have any coffee stains on it because it's a new book, so hopefully. In this one, not only do I have websites, but I also have a lot of books. So if you are looking for books on starting a business, making money, specific types of businesses, I have those listed at the back as well, kind of the best of the best. So those are some suggestions if you're like, well, I want to read more. I don't even know where to start. That's for me. Now, you might find that the books that I read, you just don't like them at all, and that's totally fine. But find a few people that have similar taste and then get great ideas from them. Okay, so this afternoon at 3 p.m. I am going to do another Money Making Mom Scope, and this one is on how to get people to pay you to blog. In the sense of, we're going to talk about advertisers, we're going to talk about sponsorships, and how that works. How do you get started? How do you find people to advertise on your site? How do you pick? How do you know where to even, what do you do? How do you get paid to blog? That will be at 3 p.m. this afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Time. Right here, we'll be back for the Money Making Mom Scope. And remember that as soon as we're finished here, I'm gonna hop off and hop back on and do the scope on Rising Strong, our book this week. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I so appreciate all of you, and there were so many comments that I cannot wait to go back and read, and I love that you all are getting to know one another and engaging in this as a community, and it's not just like a one-sided conversation in the sense of, I think some of you show up just to talk to the other wonderful people who are on here, and I love that. So thank you, thanks so much for being here, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.